Many expected the initial char expansion through northern Tyria to become a tide of blood that would crash upon the Shiver Peaks, drowning char and norn alike. The reality proved different. When the char reached the foothills, the norn drove them back with a single crushing blow, completely decimating every warband sent against them. Although it is certain that the char could have destroyed the norn resistance if they but turned their entire army, or even one full legion, to the cause, warbands and smaller raiding parties could not overcome the individual strength of the norn. These initial skirmishes taught both sides to respect the strength of the other. From this accord of mutual respect and strength arose a strange pseudo-alliance that is yet to be broken. For nearly 200 years, the eastern border of the Shiver Peaks has been stable. The char are allowed to pass through Gunner's Hold and the lower canyons where the norn had spread. In fact, during the Searing, the norn allowed the char armies passage through the northern pass from Ascalon into Tyria, setting the stage for the char invasion of the central human lands. Although this was not a sign of any alliance, it set the stage for the two races to live within a watchful peace. No peace accord was ever signed. A treaty would have been meaningless to the individualistic norn, and no char would even spit upon such a paper. However, the two races allowed one another passage and trade while keeping their borders secure. Occasionally, a warband or a norn hunter might cross into the other's land, only to be cut down without prejudice. But these skirmishes do not disrupt the accord reached by mutual consent between the two nations. Over the past 100 years, more and more norn have been seen in Kryta and lands beyond. An elder dragon of ice and snow arose in the farthest northern peaks, driving even the most stalwart hunters down into dwarven lands. There they found abandoned dwarven forts, and a new challenge in form of the dredge, the old nemesis of the dwarves, now almost unrecognizable from their primitive, frightened creatures of the past. The dredge, reveling in their newfound freedom after the dwarves fell to the destroyers, seized that opportunity to become a real threat in the Shiver Peaks, while the norn revel in the hunt of new enemies. The norn and the dredge fight over control of these lands in a continual war that rages along the highest mountains. The norn have also kept ties with their human friends, although those ties are not as close as they once were, for the norn felt often betrayed by their unpredictable human allies. In recent years, that sense of betrayal has deepened, as the norn do not trust the Krytan Queen. The Queen is seen by members of this independent race as being too dependent on her advisors, too unwilling to act on her own as a hero must. Although relations have grown colder, the norn hold out hope that the Krytan Queen will prove herself by dominating her race, or that someone else will rise from among the humans to show them what it means to be strong. While humans explored the far Shiver Peaks, and the dwarves fought the destroyers, a new race began to grow in the southern lands of Tyria. A single seed, as big as a man's fist, planted in the ground of a ruined village along the southern tip of the Maguma jungle, began a centuries-long gestation, and heralded a new age. This story began with a human soldier named Ronan, who, while separated from his patrol, discovered a cavern filled with strange seed pods. This cavern was protected by terrible plant creatures, so he fled, clinging to a single seed to show his daughter when he returned home from the war. But, upon his arrival, Ronan discovered the Mersat had destroyed his village and murdered his family, leaving only ruined houses and mass graves. In agony, he planted the seed on their graves and swore never to return to battle. Ronan was joined by the aging centaur named Ventari, who had also begun to lose hope in peace. The human and centaur, against all odds, formed a friendship that surpassed the bounds of race. Together, they decided to begin their lives anew and create a refuge for human and centaur alike. They built their safe haven near the ocean and the budding tree for all of those who sought peace and shelter of friendship. The pale oak grew under the watchful and gentle eye of Ventari, becoming strong and healthy, and giving the old centaur great joy. Yet with this bliss came sorrow. The centaur tribes of the north and west, crushed and driven out by Crichtons fleeing from their flooding coastline, grew more and more savage and brutal. As more tribes joined the war, fewer were willing to listen to Ventari's words, and his new outpost became smaller and smaller. At last, old and gray, Ventari carved his life lessons upon a marble tablet, which he placed at the base of the pale tree so that future travelers might read it and perhaps learn the ways of peace and harmony. Then, many years after his human companion had passed, Ventari laid down beside the tree Ronan had planted and died. The year was 1165 AE. The tree, white and sparkling, continued to grow. Over 100 years later, small cocoons appeared among its branches. These cocoons spun out, shifting and eventually ripping open, birthing a new race of people into the world, fully grown as if they had wakened from some magical dream. They call themselves the Sylvari, and these firstborn were only the beginning of a widespread emergence, all born from the same massive tree. The marble tablet still bears Ventari's last words, and the Sylvari who emerged from the tree found themselves strangely guided by these ancient lessons. Whether the tree, tended by Ventari, somehow became imprinted with a noble centaur's morals and ethics, or whether it absorbed both the remains of the centaur's flesh as well as compassionate soul upon death, no one knows for certain. But it is certain that his influence over the Sylvari is strong, even so many decades after his death. Their race venerates the Ventari tablet as their most sacred artifact and testament. It is unknown how old Sylvari can become, as they come forth fully mature and show no signs of aging thereafter. Sylvari have no children, no families as such, but each Sylvari feels a special connection with the others in what they call the Dream of Dreams. In this dream, they commune with the inner mind of the race, learning how to speak, walk, use simple tools, and interact with the world. Thus, when a Sylvari emerges, she knows the great deal more about the world than one might expect. But the Dream of Dreams also contains nightmares, hidden whispers beneath the voices of their fellow Sylvari. They do not understand what it means, but the Sylvari have yet to experience much of the world around them. They do not know the dangers and the troubles of Tyria immediately, as the other races do, but they are learning. Have not been kind to Tyria. Even so, as green plants grow over the scorched rocks of Ascalon and the waters recede from Lion's Arch, a new city rises and the shattered coastline gives way to new life. The new adventures lurk around every corner, and ancient places beneath the surface push up, their doors open to reveal lost secrets. However, the massive power of the dragons has been unleashed, spilling across the land like a disease that twists everything in its wake. Unless they can be stopped, the dragons will change the face of Tyria irrevocably, eradicating the sentient races. To what end, we can only guess. Time and tide have changed the world. The races of Tyria now stand on equal ground, fighting superiority even as dragons far older than history, truly primal powers, awaken to claim the world in their bloody claws. If there are heroes left in these lands, anywhere among the races, it is time for them to step forward if the world is to be saved. Someone must rise to seize glory, offer a moment of hope, and perhaps give the world one last chance for peace. If those who would be heroes are listening, now is your time. Thank you for listening to this reading of The Movement of the World. If you've never played the original games, I do highly recommend looking for them on Steam when they come on sale. The stories there range from being absolutely fascinating to extremely campy and dumb, but overall, the lore is an excellent time. Now then, let us board the hype train and see where it takes us. Hopefully somewhere with dragons.